Hello, ladies and gentlemen, herzlich willkommen, добро пожаловать, друзья. My name is Andrei, and in this video I will talk about the next topic, Layer Edition with snappyHexMesh. This video refers to the advanced settings for Layer Edition. Therefore, for the basics, watch other learning videos from other bloggers on YouTube or other platforms. Unfortunately, I do not have time to explain the basics. From the beginning, I would like to mention 4 topics as long as we start with our target one. A lot of time has passed since the last videos. I apologize for this as I have other tasks in my everyday life. I have done a lot of new calculations since last year. I will try to record them as soon as possible. In this video, I will not share all my knowledge because I prefer personal contact and only give something to people who find the time and contact me personally. On the one hand, I want you to be proactive, and on the other hand, I will ask for a small gift. My contact data you will find on my homepage or in this video. Some time ago, one of my viewers contacted me and asked for support. It turned out that he could not execute all my commands in his terminal. The reason for this was that we had different versions of OpenFOAM installed. Since then, I know that I work with OpenFOAM Plus or with AC Group. He, on the other hand, had the OpenFOAM Foundation version installed. This is here. So those who have OpenFOAM Plus installed can work with my commands in the terminal. There are many differences between these two versions of OpenFOAM, which I will explain in the next videos. You can, of course, find out these differences yourself. The last thing I want to say is the following. I develop a different CAD models for 3D printing, and I would like to present them in my videos. I find some of them very useful in everyday's life, and I would like to advertise them. In this regard, I will program short interruptions and play my short promotional videos in my tutorials. If you find something interesting, please contact me. If you are looking for a smartphone holder, I offer you the possibility to manufacture your customized one. To do this, I need the dimensions of your smartphone. The smartphone holder will be made according to them. My portfolio already includes several smartphone holders from different manufacturers, Samsung, iPhone, etc. As soon as the 3D model is ready, you can start with 3D printing. At the end, you screw the parts together and you can start using this. The smartphone holder has a camera cutout for video and photo recordings, access to the charging cable and a pen holder. It is very stable and can be placed anywhere without falling. You are welcome to order your own customized smartphone holder from me. Now I would like to start my tutorial. First of all, I would like to confess that I did not like using the layer creation tool in snappyHexMesh. There are many reasons for this. First of all, the quality is very much affected when creating layers. If you set the quality to dominant, the result is that no layers are created at all. Secondly, it is very difficult to achieve 100% of layer extrusion. In this case, you have to choose between more of layers and a little of quality, and a lot of quality and a few of layers. Thirdly, without layers you can also achieve representative result. Unfortunately, not with every solver, not with each solver, as I have now discovered. The number of cells increases drastically when using prism layers, so you have to take this into account for large meshes. And finally, to create a good mesh, you need to have professional knowledge of snappyHexMesh. But to master layer addition, you need to know twice as much about the settings of snappyHexMesh. I will start with a few short videos which clearly demonstrate the necessity of the layer addition tool. The first video. The first video shows the temperature distribution calculated with the buoyantSimpleFoam solver without layers. buoyantSimpleFoam solver is a steady-state solver, but changes in the temperature and other physical quantities become visible through the iterations. The changes continue until a steady-state situation is reached. In this video, no changes in the floor are visible, even though the walls have a different temperature than the inlet temperature of the fluid. The walls are colored red and the flow itself is dark blue. I will open the temperature file of this case. So there the wall temperature is 330 Kelvin. This is written here, the wall temperature, and the flow is 323 Kelvin. This is written here. After 470 iterations, the calculation aborts. This is a possible termination of the buoyantSimpleFoam solver if the calculations show no changes after several iterations. In the second video, you can see how the temperature of the walls is absorbed by the flow. The heat penetrates the flow. In this video, the layers are included to the mesh. The simulation runs for several thousand steps and was stopped at 2000 iterations. For comparison, I made a video with the FFmpeg video edition tool showing both files side by side. FFmpeg is an interesting video edition tool that you can install and use on Linux, Windows and other platforms. Now you see the differences between two simulations, and here you can learn more about FFmpeg. After this research, I finally took a closer look at layer addition, even though I've been using the layer tool for some calculation for a long time. This time I wanted to know 100% about it. A long time ago I prepared a simple geometry. With that I could visualize the layer addition settings. I prepared and applied this geometry again. The geometry is very simple and contains all necessary features for this research. To do this, I open Salome on my computer and display the geometry. I have prepared a text file for starting and installing Salome, OpenFOAM and ParaView. Let me show you. So, if you would like, you can request these files from me. Just contact me. So now I will open the Salome. Now I will open the file. SimpleGeo Salome. So this is the model. The geometry contains various angles, so we can examine the layer addition at the edges. You see it here. The geometry contains various patches and a clear transition from round geometry to rectangular geometry. This is the round and this is the rectangular, and this is the transition zone. Here, for example, the inlet patch, and here is the outlet patch. We will start with this geometry. I open the layer case and display the mesh settings. First comes the block mesh. The dimensions for block mesh come from Salome. To do this, I activate the bounding box. We go to inspection, dimensions and bounding box for this geometry. So now you see the coordinates. The coordinates for the block mesh should be slightly larger than the coordinates at the bounding box. Here the coordinates of the bounding box, and here are the coordinates of block mesh. The global cell size is 8 mm. In the context of snappyHexMesh, the surface feature extract dict is a dictionary file that specifies how features such as edges or boundaries should be extracted from the surface meshes, particularly for use in generated meshes for simulations. The basic settings I want to focus on are include the angle. To make the effects of the included angle visible, we need to set the right object to yes. Currently, this is all for surface feature extract dict, and we move on to decompose the part dict. Here I set the number of subdomains to 12. The method is simple. Simple coefficients are written here. Distribute the coefficients 3 to 2 according to the x, y and z axis. snappyHexMesh Dict is the most important chapter of this area of meshing. Unlike previous tutorials, I set add layers to true. In Snappy, as always, we have the geometry part, castellated mesh controls, now it's without refinement regions. They are not needed for this simple case. So max global cell size is 24 millions, which with 12 processors result in 2 million cells for each processor. Number of cells between the level is defined as 5. There are some situations where you have to think carefully about this setting. For example, in long pipes. More on this in future tutorials. For now, this setting is not so important. Feature block is defined with refinement level 0.2, that means 0 meter from the surface or edge, and 2 is the refinement level. The same situation is by refinement surface block. We have 0 is the basic refinement level and 2 is the maximal refinement level. Resolve feature angle here is a very interesting parameter and will be examined in more details in this tutorial. Location is in mesh is clear for everyone. Point inside the mesh for intersection. I don't have any special settings for snap control. They are always the same as in previous videos. Please take a look on this. Now I come to the actual add layer area. Relative size is always false for me. Why this? I don't like the different size of layers in the mesh, which is caused by relative size true. The expansion ratio is like 1.2 as usual. So first layer thickness is freely selectable. First layer thickness here. However, for me, this size is always related to the minimum cell size on the surface where this layer addition takes place. In this example, the cell size of the layer is a half of the cell size on the walls. So let me calculate. Refinement level 2 means the cell size is equal to 2 millimeters. I will show you here. Refinement level on the walls and everywhere is 2. So the global cell size is 8 millimeters here. So for the first refinement level, we calculate 4 millimeter cell size, and for second refinement level, the cell size means 2 millimeter, and the half of this is equal to 1 millimeter for the layers. The next parameter is mean thickness. This value is also related, but in this time it is related to first layer thickness. So the mean thickness for the layer is equal to 0.25 of first layer thickness. Finer layer thickness and overall thickness, finer layer thickness and overall thickness can be calculated from the given values. This calculation also includes the number of surface layers value. So you can take this value, expansion ratio, and first layer thickness, and then you can calculate the final layer thickness and of course the overall thickness. The layer settings are beginning here. I will only discuss the settings which are relevant to layer addition. I will scroll up a bit to show you the two most important pages for layer settings. The explanations from the openfoam.com page and CFD support.com page. These are two pages, layer specification and so on. You can find all of the settings here and also here. The most important parameter for layer addition is the feature angle. This value can be set between 0 and 180 degrees. Everything below this angle will be filled with layers. It is important that the angle is calculated in both outside and inside of the geometry. For example, we set feature angle to 30 degrees. Therefore, all angles between 0 and 30 degrees and between 180 minus 30 is equal to 150 and 180 degrees are meshed with layers. So I repeat, if I set the feature angle 30 degrees, that means that all edges which have between 0 and 30 degrees and between 150 and 180 degrees are meshed with the layers. To see this, I have done and prepared my geometry, and you can imagine why we do have so much different angles in the geometry. The feature angle does not apply to the interfaces between different boundaries, for example, wall and patch. Another parameter that affects the layers is mean medial axis angle. If I set this angle to 60 degrees, the meshing of the layers will be similar to how it would be if relative size was set to true. The layers will show different heights for different cell sizes. You should set all other parameters the same way I did. You can also read the comments behind each parameter. You can also read more about them, but these parameters have a very little effect for layer creation. I have already mentioned that the layer settings are very closely related to the mesh quality settings. The higher the quality required, the fewer layers are created. Now I show you the default mesh quality control settings. Now we will examine this. I will go back to very beginning. We set the include the angle parameter in surface feature extracted to 179 degrees and start the meshing. So I will do it. Replace all. Save. So I will, as usually, activate the open foam, and now I use the command line for deleting, and now for meshing. The OBJ edge mesh file shows that we have edges on the concave and convex surfaces. To find these OBJ files, we should open constant extended feature edge mesh, and here you can find inlet edge mesh OBJ and so on. So you see a lot of edges which are coming from surface feature extracted. Along these edges, the mesh assumes the smallest cell size defined in Snappy. So we define the edges with included angle. The maximum refinement level is applied along these edges. So you see, the cylindrical surfaces are fully meshed to the maximum. Let me look if the calculation is ready. Now it's ready. Wait a second. Now I update. Now I repeat. The cylindrical surfaces are fully meshed with the maximum refinement level, but not on the flat surfaces. It's very important to mention that in this case the surface refinements have to be different and have to have different max and min refinement levels. For example, like here, we have 0 is min refinement level and 2 is the max refinement level. If refinement levels are the same, the min and max, meaning the entire surface is meshed with a max refinement level everywhere. Please don't forget this, and I will demonstrate this now. So we have everywhere refinement level 2, the min and the max. So I will go back by include the angle to 170. So I save the snappyHexMesh dict. Now you see the result of 179 including angle. Now it is 170, but refinement level is always the same, the min and the max. I start a new calculation. I delete everything and start now. So in this moment we can see the differences between 179 and 170 degrees of included angle here. the number of extracted edges is lower than in previous calculation. So let me update. This is that the surface look like after the meshing is complete. You can also see the fine mesh resolution on the stride surfaces, like here, or inlet or outlet. Now I repeat, if we set include the angle to 170, we see significantly fewer edges after executing the surface feature extract script. This way the mesh will only assume the maximum refinement level on the edges that were extruded. I go back with refinement level settings for refinement surfaces. Save the snappy. The surface feature extracted is now 170 degrees, and now we will observe the result. First of all, I will start the meshing. So now I delete the previous mesh and do it again. In our case, the comparison should be taken between these parameters, which were in the previous calculation set to 2,2. The maximum and minimum refinement level was 2,2, and now it's 0 and 2. We see the calculation is running. The calculation or meshing process is ready. I can update the mesh and show the result. So the maximum refinement level is only on edges which are defined by surface feature extracted. What does this have to do with layers? So if the edges are clearly defined, the quality settings are applied to them. The mesh has fewer compensation options. This can impair layer addition. Furthermore, the goal is always to keep the mesh size small as possible, and only refine it there it is really necessary. There is an alternative to do the same as include the angle do in snappyHexMesh. The resolve feature angle setting. For example, the resolve feature angle of 10 degrees corresponds to 180 minus 10. It is equal to 170 degrees for include angle. So resolve feature angle of 1 degrees corresponds to 180 minus 1, so it means 179 degrees of include angle, and so on. So you should always set the parameters according to their meaning and not do the same twice. I will now set the include angle, or it is already set to 170, and resolve feature angle I will set to 1. So that means resolve feature angle is now corresponding to 179 include angle. So now we begin with the calculation. Now you see the updated OBJ files, and you see here, according to include the angle 170 degrees, we do not have so much extracted surfaces or edges after surface feature extract dict running. So I will update the mesh and show you the meaning of resolve feature angle, which is set it to 1 now. The meshing is ready. We see 92% of covering of layers by walls, 85% covering by walls cold, and 98.8 on walls hot. Now I will update the meshing file. So you see the same situation as if we include the angle set to 179. Now I will go back to snappyHexMesh dict and set the resolve feature angle according to include the angle. 170 corresponds to 10 degrees. I let the calculation run again. So now it's running. The objects files are written. Here decomposing and so on. So the meshing is ready. I will update it. We will shut off the object files and make visible the section. So now let's take a closer look at the layers. We see that the layers at the intersection of the inlet and walls are not continuously. Look here. This is some interruption in this area, or you can also see it here. The layers are not continuously. The same situation at the outlet. You see here some areas with layers and some areas without. The cause of this is the quality settings, nothing more. So here are the settings for layers, and you can change all the layer settings upside down, but as long as the quality does not allow extrusion, you won't achieve anything. Currently, the mesh settings are assumed as the default. I will show you this. This is here. And I will show you, or please take a note, the following homepage of openfoam.com is necessary for the mesh quality settings. So the mesh quality settings are given here. Before we play with layer parameters, I need to ensure that we have 100% layers on all surfaces. Now it is like written here. You see we have, for example, 97% of coverage with a layer for walls hot. So to do 100% layers, I turn off all mesh quality settings. Remember this and take a note. To turn off all mesh quality settings. I will only reveal how I do this to those who contact me. Now let's play with feature angle. So I started with feature angle 179. After meshing, you see that 100% of layers have been created. However, the mesh quality is very poor. Let me show you. This is the mesh quality. Sometimes the calculation does not run at this level. Then you have to play with the quality until the calculation runs again and the layers cover the maximum possible area. Let me go back to the paraview, and if I update this, you will see the 100% layer coverage everywhere. Here, along the walls, along these edges. So you see 100% of layer coverage. Now I set the feature angle to 30 degrees and run the meshing again in order to see what changes we'll be seeing after this change. Now the meshing is done. I will update this, and now you see the quality settings are all disabled. The layers on patches or between patch and walls are 100%. And what is the difference between those two calculations or meshing? So we see that the layers are missing at the edges with angles above 30 degrees. You see, this angle is lower than 30 degrees. So, and where the angle is bigger, we have no layers extruded. Now I set the feature angle to 60 degrees and do the same again. Let's wait. Let me update the mesh. So at 60 degrees, the mesh looks better again. Let me change the feature angle to 110 degrees and run the mesh again. So at 110 degrees it looks even better. But not everywhere the layers are created. So for that we have to include the angle as it was at the beginning, 179 degrees, and let me run the calculation or the meshing again. So at the 179 degrees we have 100% of layers again. Now I will play with the number of layers and their sizes. So I use 5 layers. This time, and set the first layer size to 0.005. So I have the mean thickness at 0.00025. I will let it stay as it is. Now we will start the meshing. Oh, wait a second, have to save and now start. Let me update the mesh. For update, oh, I forgot to say, for update I press F5 tab or button. So you see now, instead of 5 layers, the mean thickness is lower, the coverage is 100% again. So let me show you here and so on. So I reset number of layers. For that I press Ctrl Z. Save again. So finally I would like to show you a few more settings. Now I will use the minimum necessary quality settings so that quality is taken into account. Now I will start the meshing with these settings. Please, of course, contact me if you would like to know these settings. Now I will update the mesh again. So you see the coverage is good. Let me see if we have everywhere the layers. Visible check shows that we have layers everywhere, but it isn't. Somewhere the layers are not extruded, but we can see it in the log file. We have on walls and walls cold only about 93 and 95% of layers. So, but these settings are also usable. They include some quality definitions, and the coverage is very good. Now I set the quality settings to very good quality, and now I will run the meshing again and show you the differences. Here you see from this point the layer addition is aborted because of very high quality of the mesh. Let me show you the quality. So you see the reason for aborting of layer creation because of the dominant quality settings, and now you see the quality is excellent. So now I would like to play, or maybe I will show you the quality on ParaView. Let me update. Of course, we don't have any layers, but if you see the edges are very coarse. Maybe it will be better seen if I set this only the surface. So you have the best quality, but not so good geometry reproduction. Yeah, layers are not seen anywhere. I would like to play around with minted quality on default mesh quality settings. The manual states that minted quality must be set to -1 plus 30, so very large negative value for best layer insertion. So this is done here, and let me show you. So here's the mesh. This is the mesh by using default settings and minted quality according to -1 plus 30 for best layer reproduction. So with snip we will remember the coverage by using of minted quality of -1 plus 30, like it is given in manuals. And now let me set the minted quality as usual to 1 minus 15 and mesh again. So let us take a look on new mesh. Yeah, it's definitely, you can see with new setting of minted quality we have not the layers everywhere on patches. So let me see on the log file. Here you see the comparison on the right with snip. Saved screenshot says that we have more than 90% everywhere layer coverage, and here we have sometimes lower than 90%. So that's a good result to understand how minted quality decides or change the layer coverage. So let me do something more. I found out that for best sharp edge reproduction, minted quality should be set to 1 or even more. I will show you that and what I mean by that. I set the surface. You see here the edges, and now we will set the minted quality to 1 and show what does it change. So let me update the mesh, and you see all sharp edges are exactly what they are in reality. Or fast all of them. But of course we had a trouble with it. Here you see we also do not have any layers because layer creation is aborted, and now we can see it in the mesh. So that's how to play with minted quality settings. Finally, I will show you the results with and without layers. The calculation will be shown in a separate video in the near future. So now I will go to folder ffmpeg and open SimpleGeo, and now show you the output of temperature. So this is comparison between two cases with layers on the left and without layers on the left and with layers on the right. So you can see on the left we do not have layers, and you see the big cell size in the near of the inlet. So, and of course, according to results, you see the smoother distribution by calculation on the right side, because there was the layer added. So let me show you again. Let us look on the next file, is velocity. On the right side, the layers are added, and the distribution of velocity is more smooth and much better. So, ladies and gentlemen, we now reach to the end. From now on, you should know how to extrude the layers, and please let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I wish everyone the best and see you in the next videos. Bye bye.